Welcome back to another episode of Animail. Today we're going to be looking at the Animail Falcon. The Animail Falcon is one of the most anticipated figures from Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, and it's also one of the only figures to not have any merchandise yet. In the game, the animatronic is seen in a flashback with a very distinctive design, but it appears that someone has modified this animatronic to look like an entirely different animal. Let me know your thoughts. But for now, let's go ahead and get into the video. We'll start off with some footage of the actual animatronic in the game. Then we'll move on to some of the possible origins for the animatronic. There's no official name for this character, so I'll be referring to it as the Animail Falcon for the rest of the video. The Animail Falcon is first seen in a flashback in the security breach cutscene, where it can be seen standing next to a burning stage curtain. Its design seems to imply that it was once a real bird that was stuffed into the animatronic suit. In fact, when the character moves, it seems to almost flap its wings, and at one point in the cutscene, it even cocks its head to the side like a bird would. This particular animatronic may be more closely related to the birds in the Five Nights at Freddy's lore than we originally thought. And if that's the case, then they might actually be related to the songbird animatronics featured in the first Five Nights at Freddy's. For the songbird animatronics are only seen in the minigame, but they may have actually been present in the original Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. This is because there's a poster on the wall in the main area of the first game that shows two of the three songbirds. It could just be a coincidence, but the fact that the poster is in the main area suggests that it may have been an animatronic that was scrapped early on in the development of the franchise. If this theory is true, then it would mean that the Animail Falcon is one of the oldest animatronics in the entire franchise, since the Animail Falcon resembles a bird that was stuffed inside of the animatronic suit. This would make it a lot closer to the original concept of the franchise, which seemed to revolve around animatronics that were able to walk around and interact with the customers. While we don't know exactly what the design of the animatronic was intended to be, we do know that it had a beak, bright eyes, feathers, talons, and wings. The animatronic was also likely a lot larger than the other animals due to the size of its wingspan. Despite being an animal, the falcon's head seemed to be based on a human rather than an actual bird. If we take the shape of its head and apply it to the body of a real falcon, we get something that almost looks like it could be the head of a certain individual. However, another possibility is that the animal isn't supposed to represent a falcon at all. Instead, it could be a completely original species created by the game developers. For example, Funtime Foxy's face seems to be a combination between a fox and a rabbit. Meanwhile, both Mangle and Springtrap share characteristics with multiple animals. The fact that the animatronic is named after an animal could simply be a way of giving it a name without having to come up with a completely original one. Although the Animail Falcon doesn't appear in the final version of Security Breach, its presence is still felt throughout the game. At one point, the player character can find a newspaper clipping that describes the incident that occurred with the animatronic. According to the article, the Animail Falcon had gone missing for several days before being found in the back alley of the mall. It had apparently gotten stuck behind a dumpster and was unable to free itself until it eventually died. The article goes on to say that the police are investigating the incident, but it's unclear how the animatronic got there in the first place or why it was left to die. It's possible that the animatronic managed to break free of the pizzeria and escaped into the outside world. Or perhaps it was abandoned by the company after the incident and someone decided to throw it out. Either way, it's clear that the Animail Falcon wasn't treated very well, especially when compared to the other animals from the daycare. The daycare animals all seem to be very well taken care of, and none of them appear to be missing or broken, unlike the Animail Falcon. Interestingly enough, this animatronic also appears in the Fazbear Frights story, Into the Pit. Although the story takes place in the underground tunnels beneath the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, the animatronic's design is nearly identical to the one seen in the security breach cutscene. This could be another example of an animatronic that was scrapped early on in the development of the franchise. Or it could just be an error on behalf of the author of the story. As of right now, there's no official name for this character, so it's likely that it won't be referred to as the Animail Falcon in the future. However, since it does bear a strong resemblance to an actual falcon, I think the name is pretty fitting. Now, let's take a look at some of the fan art for this character. There's not much to go off of, but we've got a few decent pieces here. This one caught my eye because it depicts the animatronic in its possible full-body suit. It looks like the legs and feet have been removed, but otherwise it seems to be complete. Personally, I think it looks really good, and I love the details on the feathers. Here's another good one. I really like how the wings have been drawn. They look incredibly detailed, which I always find interesting because it seems to be the part of the animatronic that was changed the most. There doesn't seem to be much of it out there, but I did find a few. These were made by the same person who made the realistic glam rock Freddy plush that I showed in a previous episode. I think these turned out great. They're very detailed and they look like they could be an official product. Hopefully, this gives you guys an idea of what this animatronic could look like in real life. Unfortunately, that's all the content we have for today. This was definitely one of the shorter videos, but I wanted to keep it that way so it didn't become too repetitive. I hope you guys enjoyed it nonetheless. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. And of course, feel free to leave your thoughts about this character down below. I always appreciate hearing what you guys have to say. But for now, that's all I've got. So until next time, take care and remember, stay tuned for more content.